Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing This Will Bring Your Ex Back. I provide audio coaching for breakup recovery, trying to get an ex back, attracting someone new, and life coaching. Visit www.dateme.tips for more details. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast. And today we are discussing This Will Bring Your Ex Back. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, you need to know what is likely to work in your favour. In today's podcast, I'll be discussing 3 elements which can bring your ex back. So let's get straight into this. And point number 1 is empty nest syndrome. Now, ordinarily, when you might hear people speak about empty nest syndrome, they're speaking from a perspective of older parents whose children have now moved out of a family home. Whether or not they had 1 child, 2, 3, 4, this is a situation where there are no longer any children left at their family home. They've all moved out. They're all now legal adults. And this is when some mums and dads start to feel empty nest syndrome, and they start to miss what they once felt they had, and now they feel that they have lost. And that is a family all under one roof, all together. And the feeling that if their children have left the nest, then this can suggest that they're no longer going to have that same relationship with their children, they're not going to have the same experiences, and they'll start to feel like their life potentially has less meaning, they certainly have less to do, the house feels quiet. Now you're probably listening to this and thinking, well, this has got nothing to do with me trying to get my ex back. Well, yes, it actually does. Because what you might not be aware of is that dumpers can also suffer from a variant of empty nest syndrome. And this is something which can really play into your favour. Now, if you and your former partner live with one another, this can definitely play in your favour. If you didn't live together, then although this won't necessarily be as strong, it will absolutely still play within your favour regarding your ex thinking of you. Now, just imagine the situation. You lived with your ex for a number of years. Maybe you were dating only for a few months, but you spent a lot of quality time with one another at each other's houses. What this will mean is that your ex-dumper would have spent good quality time, if not many, many years, living under the same roof as you. And even if you weren't actually living together, there would have been a lot of quality time spent together within their home. Now, when the relationship ends, and even though it was their choice, they are the dumper, they made that decision, they unfortunately lost their romantic emotional attraction, they actioned the breakup. So you might be thinking, well, it's their choice. Yes, it's their choice, but they can't understand and comprehend the feelings and emotions that they're going to have beyond that point. They can speculate about how they might feel, and they are likely to believe that this is the best path for them to go down right now, but they can't actually fully understand and imagine what they will be going through when they are in this house alone. Now, you might have lived together, and this could be a big shock to the system for the both of you. Perhaps you didn't live together, but as I said, you might have spent a lot of quality time in each other's houses, and that would have included your exes. What we can say for certain is it's going to start feeling a lot quieter right now in your ex's home. Just as older parents whose children fly the nest, and this is when they start to feel empty nest syndrome. They feel like they're missing out on things. They're feeling like the emotions and the relationships are no longer going to be the same. It can start to bring on some level of negativity, sometimes even depression. This can happen with dumpers. Because if you imagine that all of the good times that you and your ex had in their house, and now those memories are never going to be replicated, or at least right now because you're broken up, this is something that your ex-dumper is going to be thinking about. Now, although, unfortunately, there would have been some negativity whether or not it was arguing, whether or not it was complacency, whatever happened between you, your ex lost attraction. Okay, and this is why they ended the relationship. So you might be thinking, well, they're probably happy if I'm no longer here. Well, at the beginning, that may have been the case. Depending on why the breakup took place, your ex-bedumper might be happy to have some alone time. But as the weeks turn into months, and the months turn into many, many months, if not even beyond that, your ex-bedumper is likely to start missing your presence. And something referred to as the fading effect bias will play into your favour, because that suggests that people remember positive memories for a much longer time than they do negative memories, meaning those negative memories will fade sooner over time in comparison to those positive memories. So if you had some great times together and you also had some bad times together, well, guess what? As the months tick by, your ex-bedumper is much more likely, when they reminisce and think back, to think of the good times, to wear those rose-tinted glasses, and to remember the moments you shared together in their home, which right now they're not experiencing. Right now they're alone. Right now there doesn't seem to be the excitement or the happiness that you once brought to their life. Now, of course, they're not going to fully forget the problems, but they're going to fade sooner in comparison to the positive memories. So when we consider reasons and how and why and what will bring your ex back, I really believe that empty nest syndrome can be something to bring your ex-bedumper to a position where they want to reach out to you. Now, whether or not you get your ex back from this place will somewhat depend on how you navigate the communication stage. And of course, sadly, not all dumpees will get their ex back. But if you've had great memories in the home that your ex is currently living in, this can really play into your favour as for why empty nest syndrome can help bring your ex back. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast. Please like this video if you're watching on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. And point number 2 is your lack of tears. So today we're speaking about this will bring your ex back. And point number 1 was the fact that they would be missing your presence and the memories, and that they would want to, at some stage, potentially reach out to you and see if they can regenerate those memories again. Point number 2 is a completely different perspective, and that is your lack of tears can bring them back. Now, you might be confused at this and think, well, I've shed a lot of tears over my ex, and they absolutely know I have. Now, that doesn't matter, because what we're speaking about is the future. At the time of a breakup, your ex-bedumper is going to be expecting emotion. They're going to be understanding of the fact that they've broken your heart. So if you've cried during the breakup, if you've cried somewhat post-breakup as well, that's understandable, it's natural, and they are going to respect and understand this is why it's happened, because they've caused the breakup. What I'm speaking about is a lack of tears into the future. And this is where dumpees can really move into 2 categories. You could be the type of dumpee who remains permanently upset and posting online those sad song lyrics and all of the emotions that you're going through months and months and months post-breakup. Or alternatively, you could be focusing on living your best life, making sure you do your best every single day. And yes, you're going to feel emotion. Yes, that is healthy, but no, you're not going to be posting it online. You're not going to be letting your ex know about this. Now, if you're in that first category, where you are showcasing your emotion very publicly, then unfortunately, if your ex-bedumper finds out about this, they're not likely to regrow romantic emotional attraction. They might feel worried about you, they might feel concerned about you, but they're not likely to feel romantic towards you. If, however, you can suggest that you're living your best life, this can be very, very attractive. Now, you might be thinking, but I've got all of these feelings and emotions, I don't want to bottle them up. Well, you shouldn't be bottling them up. Now, I'm not telling you to bottle them up. I'm just suggesting don't put them online. Don't tell your ex. Don't inform friends of friends who might tell your ex. But instead, release those emotions safely to friends who don't connect with your ex, family members, a local doctor, myself, whoever it may be that isn't connected to your ex. This is where you need to understand the difference. Yes, you need to release the emotion. No, your ex doesn't need to know about it. Because if your ex doesn't see the tears, if they feel that you're showcasing a lack of tears, then this is going to subconsciously play on their mindset that they can't be that good a person. Because in their subconscious, they're thinking, well, if my ex-dumpee seems to be living their best life, they don't really seem to be shedding any more tears, maybe they're not missing me anymore. Maybe I wasn't even that great. Like, how can they not be upset about it? It was only a couple of months ago. I don't understand. Now, consciously, they might not be dissecting it like this, but subconsciously, they very likely are. And if you can live your life in a positive way, making new connections, doing your thing, improving every single day, becoming a better person today than you were yesterday, and a better person tomorrow than you are currently today, if you post this online, if you tell mutual friends about the improvements and the positivity, if this gets back to your ex, then they're going to see you in a different light. They're going to be wondering why you don't seem upset about the breakup anymore, and they're going to be intrigued and impressed by the improvements that you're making. Combining this subconsciously is going to be a pull. It's going to be a pull towards you. It's going to make them more likely to want to reach out. If we combine this with point number 1, maybe you had these fantastic memories in each other's houses, or maybe you did live together and the memories are going to be so strong. If you combine this with not showing that emotion publicly, then you can see the real pull. They're missing your presence from point number 1, and they're confused about why you don't seem to be bothered about them. Okay, now this is the position where they're going to be seeing themselves as not quite as high and mighty as subconsciously they expected. They feel like the king or the queen subconsciously, but you are removing them from that pedestal. You are not giving them that opportunity to feel greatness for dumping you. You're going to live your life and do your thing, and you're going to be absolutely fine. And when they realise that you are not honouring them like a king or a queen, they're going to be confused, nervous, and wondering to themselves, have you found somebody better? Is there somebody better than me? Am I not that great? And this can be the element which potentially pulls your ex to message you. Now, if you would like advice and support about how to try to increase the chance of one day getting your ex back, if you want to release emotion in a safe way by speaking to somebody that's not connected to your ex, then you may want to consider my audio coaching service, where me and you can speak one-on-one about your unique specific situation. Go to my website www.dateme.tips for more details about how I can become your coach and your teammate via my audio coaching service. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about this will bring your ex back. And point number 3 is your achievements. So as you can see, today's points in this podcast have been connected somewhat. And point number 3 follows on from what I was speaking about posting things online in a positive way. But there is more to it. If you can achieve new things, this is going to be something very attractive to your ex. Now, how you get this across to your ex could be via a friend of a friend, it could be social media, or it could be if you have achieved something significant. Maybe it even reaches the local paper. Maybe it reaches the local social media outlet that they're reporting on what's going off in your specific town. Whatever it may be, you can get things across to your ex without telling them one-on-one, which of course you don't want to be doing. Now, what type of achievements could you do? Now, this isn't just about trying to get a new job, although it could be. This isn't just about trying to make yourself healthier, fitter, and more attractive, but it could be. It could be something such as you learning how to drive. Imagine a situation where your ex drove, but you didn't. Maybe they always had to drive you around. Maybe they even suggested that it would be a great idea if you learned how to drive. And for whatever reason, you didn't. Whether it was financially, whether it was confidence, whether it was complacency, you just didn't learn how to drive. But now you think, you know what, I'm going to try and do this. And eventually you get to the stage where you pass your test. This is something that you could post online. This is something you could tell friends of friends. If and when it gets back to your ex, this is going to be something significant where they're going to understand that you are becoming a version 2.0 of yourself. This isn't some minor element that you've improved upon. This is something major. Now, like I said a moment ago, if you do something which is a huge achievement within your local area, you might even be in the local paper. You might be in a local social media post saying what you have done. Now, let's just say, for instance, you've been trying to do some charity work, helping other people. Maybe, for instance, you've been taking part in some type of local athletics, such as the local marathon, such as the local sporting event. And again, maybe you've achieved something which has gone on into the local paper. These are things and achievements which are going to surprise your ex in a positive way. You need to remember that your ex thinks they know you inside and out. They believe they know your every move. They believe they can predict what you're doing tomorrow, next week, next month. If you can change this up and do things that they can't predict, then this is going to help you massively, but only, of course, if they're positive. If you start doing things but they don't predict but they're negative, then that obviously is not going to help you. But if you can think outside the box, if you can think left field, if you can think of doing things in a positive way, whether or not it's common knowledge in the local vicinity, whether or not it's something that a friend of a friend mentions to your ex, or maybe just something you post online that they see, this can help your cause, because achievements represent you becoming a better person than your ex dumped, and therefore very much somebody that they're going to be more likely to one day reach out. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.